Oasis, how's everybody doing? We're glad to see you on this Monday morning.
Good morning.
We have a new Ben, and I'm in the wrong seat, so maybe I'm the new Ben.
Maybe you're the new Ben.
I'm the new Ben. Um, yeah, so
It takes two of us to make a new Ben.
so we're glad you're here, and we hope for those of you who are watching, hope moms, you had a great Mother's Day. Thank you so much for putting up with us, especially us boys. We know that you moms that have boys, you should get combat pay. So we're thankful for sure.
That's because you have boys. I have girls, so I know that there's a little bit of there as well. So
Yeah, that's a good call.
moms should just get combat pay.
Period. Okay, that's fair. So a lot of things going on up here at the church this week. Just with, well, we have a funeral up here, and we'll talk to you a little bit about that here in just a moment. But we have this week is going to be graduate recognition this week. All week I'll be posting pictures online on social media of all of our seniors that are graduating this year. And so if you would at home, just continue to pray for our seniors, but not just them. There's a lot of people that graduated this year. That we have a lot of former students that graduated from college. Cody Hitson graduated from Amarillo College. Brooklyn Pritchett, she graduated. She got
Nurse.
pinned. Yeah, she's pinned as a nurse now. And let's see.
Montana. Can't forget Montana.
That's truth. Montana. He graduated from WT. So how amazing is that we're
Excited about that.
Yeah, it is good. So excited to see where God takes all of those individuals, and even talking to them, they have plans, and so it's amazing to see them go and to flourish. And so next Sunday we will have graduate recognition on the big stage. We are able to do that just based on the relaxing of the rules and being able to keep social distancing. So we'll make it look as normal as we possibly can. But it'll be nice to just celebrate them. So continue to pray for them. Now, to this funeral this week, and certainly, Bradley, you're going to know more about it. But we know that for those of you guys who don't know this, our pastor, college pastor, Ben, his mother passed away this Friday, I believe.
Yeah, Gertrude. It was. Her and David have been longtime members of Oasis, and Ben's been on staff for seems like forever, and we're real sorrowful with them, but we rejoice in Gertrude's homecoming. She fought a hard fight, and she won, and we're grateful for that. So we'll be honoring her life on Wednesday and getting be kind of our first run at a public service.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. In fact, we're getting ready for it now, just prepping everything and trying to figure out, again, distancing and tidying things up, because even though there hasn't been a ton of people up here, you guys can't see this, but there's cables everywhere that we're fixing stuff. So
And there's Amarillo dust.
Yes, yeah.
We got that
Apparently,
going for us.
Yeah, COVID doesn't really impact the wind. Doesn't keep it inside. So
No, wind does not keep social distancing.
no, it doesn't. It does make me still grouchy when I'm inside and it's windy out, though. So a couple of things that I just want to talk about, and I don't know how long this will be. Today's passage that I have has really kind of been something that's bouncing around in my heart for a little while, and it's Psalm 46:10. It's going to be familiar to everyone, and what I don't want to do is certainly take this out of context. We have God dealing with the nation of Israel here with kind of in the side of pressing enemy forces, and I love that God lays this down in our hearts, and it just says Psalm 46 verse 10. It says, "Be still and know that I am God." Now that's the part that always makes it on a shirt, but there's more. So be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. And then verse 11, the Lord of hosts is with us, and the God of Jacob is our fortress. And I think what's been hitting me the most about this passage, and I've kind of alluded to it, I think, over the last couple weeks. There was about 2 weeks ago where I had a bit of a, this is no longer fun.
For someone like you,
Yeah, I'm done.
I mean, the pot calling the kettle black here.
Yeah. And the novelty of how technology and how to make things work, and it's not fun anymore. I kind of, it lost its luster, and for those of you who can stay at home and just be completely happy in your house,
We rejoice with you.
yeah.
Well, or for you.
For you, yeah. And that is not my world. This cats are made for movement, and so all that being said is where it generates, usually it shows up in me, is I get really anxious, and I get really antsy, and that happens at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That happens at 3 in the morning. All of those, and so what I do is I have a tendency to just change my focus. And I'll start focusing on what my problem is right now, or what your problem is right now, or
Thank you for that, by the way.
you're welcome. I bear your problems and your problems, and everyone. Just send me an email. I'll worry about it at 2 tonight. The thing that goes into this is a passage like this. Just it hits me because I feel like sometimes that there's a press. Like the enemy is at the gate type thing. And this be still and know that I am God. So first of all, calm down. Like, be attentive, but settle down. You have got to be in this moment. And know that I am God. Meaning, I have got to calm down and trust that God is still God. Bigger, all-knowing. There's none of this that is surprising to him.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough for me. Control issues. It's tough for me. But the way that even as I read this passage, and I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted in the earth. And then verse 11 makes all of that possible. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. If I want to be still, if I want to be calm, if I'm going to exalt him, then I'm going to have to find the refuge in him. And I'm not going to lie, for those of you at home, that is, I get it, man. There's a lot of these times that I think that we as pastors are supposed to be the shiny people that have everything figured out. What we have figured out is how to put on a game face and make it appear that way pretty well. But the reality is under the surface, man, we're pinning like everybody else is pinning. So it.
I don't know how you do it. I know how your mind works because it's a little bit like mine. And so, we're going to race to fix something else because right now I can't fix what's right here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fix something else. But, the compartmentalization, I guess, is my coping mechanism. I don't know. It's how I've gotten through this. It's like, okay, I can't deal with this right now. So I got to deal with this. And
That's good.
and I don't know that, like you're talking about this, we're being transparent here. The be still and know that I am God part for me is I'm going to be still and know that you're God in this part, but I'm still going to get busy in this part right here.
Yeah, right.
So I can't, I'm not a success story in this particular area. But you are.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to encourage everyone at home. We talked about this maybe a few weeks ago. I don't know. It's kind of a blur. And this is a season that we're going through. And that's the thing about seasons is they come and go. And I'm kind of done talking about the new normal. There is no new normal. There is no normal. This is a great example of it this week. You've done multiple funerals or seen them, been involved with them during this entire time.
Yeah.
Life is still happening. And funerals, any way you slice it, we praise God for him being faithful and taking us home. You know, that's a disruption. That's something. Somebody's world right now is spinning in a different way. So new normal, I guess, whatever. Be calm, settle down.
The perspective is good for me to process through that and say, you know, we are all in this together, right? We're all going through this coronavirus, COVID. We're stuck at home, whatever it is, across the country, across the world. And then the perspective for me is, look at all of this. We have all this going on. We're all in this together. We all experience the same load. But there's a family here that's got a tremendous burden now. Mm-hmm. And it's on top of what we're already experiencing. So, you know, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. The whole life is heavy to carry on. Then you add Mother's Day to it.
Sure.
You know, and Mother's Day yesterday was different. It wasn't bad. It just was different.
Right.
But it's an extra thing now. We're social distancing. We're not able to do the things we want to do. Graduation's coming up.
It's different.
Everything's different. And yes, it's oh my, what are we going to do? But I think the perspective is there's people who are going through so much more than we go through on a daily basis. That's their baseline. And for us to go, oh, I can't handle all of this. Well, there are people who handle everything that we're handling right now, plus more. For instance, I remember traveling several years ago internationally, and we traveled to Israel, and they do in Israel every day what we started doing a little bit after 9/11.
Okay.
You know, so you just don't walk across a border. You don't just get on a plane and go. And so that's people who they live with that every day. They live with gas masks in their house because they do not know if there's going to be. And that's just a different perspective. There's people who are, you know, baseline. They know that God is God, and they know that He is the ruler, and that the nations are going to bow down to worship Him, and they're going through so much more than we're going through right here and right now.
Man, that's strong. You know, I think that there's some peace in that. And I appreciate that. I appreciate what you just said with that. And maybe that's, at the end of the day, that's also where we find the peace and the ability to calm down is knowing that we're not the only ones in this. You know, you find, but you know, in that God, we were created for community. And even if the community is online, or maybe it's every once in a while contact, it's just nice to know that you have teammates in your community that you're on it. So, you know, maybe that's a good call. I appreciate that. And, you know, just leaning into each other in the perspective of there's folks that have gone ahead of us that have made it.
Yeah.
So we're going to make it.
We're gonna make it. And our hearts go out to Ben and his family, and you know, and people who are going through difficult times. It's not easy ever. And then you add this just multiplies it and compounds it.
Yeah. Well, that's my bit.
That's your bit.
That's my bit.
Thanks for the bit. That's awesome. So my bit is a paraphrase that I wrote this weekend.
It's good, by the way.
And I don't want it to be sacrilegious. I've shared it with a few people. Nobody's thought that it was. So I'm going to go ahead and share it. And it will be a little bit of a lighthearted kind of approach to 1 Corinthians chapter 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. So let's read that if we can, and then I'm just going to throw in the perspective that I have. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, Paul is talking about how, in particular, how some people eat meat, and he's not talking about vegetarianism. He's talking specifically about people who were in their day or eating meat that had been offered to idols.
Right. And
so some people thought that was offensive. Like, how could you possibly do that? And Paul goes through a whole theological stand. Like, it's not what goes in you. It's, you know, it's what comes out of you that determines whether you are bad or whatever that is. And then he says, you know, all things are good. And so in that perspective, he's talking about how it's some people were judging others, going up, I can't believe that you would eat meat offered to idols. So anyway, this is where he's at, and verse 19, this is where he starts. For though I am free from all men, I have made myself a servant to all. And I think that's the perspective, the proper perspective, that Paul decides to serve all. And he says this, that I might win the more. And to the Jews, I became as a Jew, that I might win Jews. To those who are under the law, as under the law, that I might win those who are under the law. To those who are without law, as without the law. To those who are without law, not being without law toward God, but under law toward Christ, that I might win those who are without law. To the weak I became as weak, that I might win the weak. I become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. And then he ends this, so this I do for the gospel's sake, that I may be partaker of it with you. Paul's not saying I'm compromise. He's saying I'm all things to all people so that by some way I may reach some. I want to not offend anybody, but I want to be able to be approachable in every situation. So he's this perfect, really, example of sacrificing his own personal preferences so that he can reach people with the gospel. So good or bad, whatever it may be, I was prompted Friday night to write this, and I did, and wrote it Saturday morning, and I sent it to the staff, and then I sent it to a few of my pastor friends and a few family. And so take it as it is. This was a modern day paraphrase of 1 Corinthians chapter 9, really to kind of highlight different people's approach to how we're handling this COVID-19, right?
I find it appropriate.
I did too, but for though I am free from all men, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win the more, right? There's the perspective. Verse 20, and to those who wear masks, I became as one who wore a mask, that I might win those who wear masks. To those who are under social distancing, as under social distancing, that I might win those who are under social distancing. To those who are without masks, as without masks, not being without masks toward God, but under masks toward Christ, that I might win those who are without masks. To the quarantined, I became as quarantined, that I might win the quarantined. I have become all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Now this I do for the gospel's sake.
I love it. Let's just be honest about that. Forthcoming.
Let's be forthcoming.
Let's be forthcoming. We're good. I like that because there's a whole lot of I fall into the camp of I have masks in my car, and I'm not going to make it about the mask, okay? I have masks in my car because if it's offensive to you that I don't have one on, I'm going to go ahead and put it on because I need our relationship intact more than I need I'm mad because you're going to tell me to do something intact.
Yeah.
It's an understood I'm irritated when authority tells me something.
That goes back to the control.
It goes back to some control issues.
Did I say that out loud?
Yeah. What's the song? But the reality, man, is if it would break my heart to know that somebody didn't listen to me or didn't hear the gospel or something because I wouldn't get over myself.
Yeah.
A mask. But it's bigger than a mask. But yeah, I mean, that would devastate me.
I think you can plug anything into that. And we're just at a spot where if the gospel is number one in our lives, then we don't have room for secondary issues. Yeah. And I've seen, and I hope that we see even less than we've seen, in the coming days than we've seen in the past, Christians who are being very vicious about these particular issues. And, it's not a gospel conversation.
It's not. It's not conducive for it at all. I mean, that conversation will not end that way. It will not end with, tell me the gospel.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're passionate about whatever side that it is you're on, but, tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me, would you please tell me how the joy that fills your soul could fill mine?
Yeah, yeah.
So we were talking a little bit this morning about, it's something that I made I don't know, whatever, if it was a mistake or something, but I got into a television show last night and couldn't stop just kept watching and watching the next episode and watching the next episode. And of course, it was about
bender.
yeah, I went on a bender. It was about a amazing, in my opinion, basketball player. Who transcended sports and changed things. And you and I were talking about that this morning about how it transcends people who like sports and people who don't.
Right.
But even that argument right there, like I could just sit right here and say, if you don't think that Michael Jordan is the best basketball player in the world, then we can't be friends.
Right.
And I just caused a wedge between the
that's
gospel
That's ball game.
and coffee, tea, cats, dogs. I mean, there's some principles you got to stand on.
Right.
But are they gospel?
Yeah.
And Paul lays this down and says, for the gospel's sake, I am willing to not be offended, and I do not want to offend. And that's important. He's also taking that, that step of saying, I'm not going to be offended by your choice. I may judge you, but I'm not going to be offended. But I'm also not going to do something that is so brash that I know it's going to offend you.
Right.
So I think that's an important step for us to take if the gospel is going to be center in our life.
It is. It's a. I got asked this question. It was a couple weeks ago as well. I don't understand sometimes. I don't understand the questions or where the logic is, and then I'm mad because like you open your mouth and that fell out type stuff. But I was asked, why do we think? Yeah, it was I. Why do I think it's necessary that we do as many online things during the week as we do? And in my head, it was like, well, that's one of the dumbest questions I think I've ever heard. It's not, but it maybe is. It's up there. So what it came down to was, in my own mind, is the gospel the most important thing that's ever been told? Is it the most important message ever? And if that answer is yes, then it's all things to all people.
Yeah.
A period statement, you know?
So it's live and in person, or it's digital, or both.
Yeah. But the work has to be done.
The work has, yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would answer that question like, hey, we've always used every opportunity that's been given to us to share the gospel. I remember when this church had buses. Yeah. And we took buses around this city and picked up kids. Right. And, it's hard to do today.
It is, yeah.
Successfully and without lawsuits. And
climate has changed.
The climate has changed. Yeah. And I think we've always been innovative and tried to do everything we can to make the gospel the central point of this ministry. Mm-hmm. That's why we fell into Upward 12 years ago and ran it for 10 years and had a great success, and why we jumped on board with Manna, because it's the best way to reach people with the gospel in certain areas. So digital is one of those ways.
Yeah. In digital, we're getting asked a couple questions.
Okay.
And I think one of these, Gertrude's funeral service.
11 a.m. Wednesday morning.
And it will be here.
It will be here, and it will be under social distancing practices as best that we know how.
I think Ben mentioned that it will be streamed somewhere.
It will be.
It will be streamed online as well, so you can come here. Just understand there's going to be protocol. We want you, bright, shiny faces, but if you can't make it, or you want to support this family and see them, then it will be online. We'll post that on our social media page, the link to that. I don't know it right off unless we're using our...
We're not. We're using their family's one. They are using it.
So we can throw a link or a watch party or something up on Wednesday so that you can do that. So that was a great question. Thank you for asking that. And then Also, as far as I've gotten a couple texts since we've been sitting here, and I'm seeing it in here as far as a church meal. We don't know yet.
Right.
And I was talking to Ben about it a little bit earlier, and there's not going to be a ton of family. And can I just say something that apparently the meal train that went out for taking care of them went off. Like, you guys they have food.
Like, you're not supposed to use the word viral anymore, right?
That's yeah. Dang, man, that does kind of take some perfect words out.
We have to come up with a new word.
Prolific.
It went prolific. It went pro.
It went pro.
It proed.
So you guys took care of them and are taking care of them. So thank you for doing that. We will keep people posted. For those of you who are sending texts and things of that nature, we will. If we need food, you'll be the first ones that we're hitting up. We'll let you know for sure. But we just don't know that that's the case right now. So we're ready for them here at the church, should that be what we need to do. But if not, then thank you for the sentiment. But we'll let you know.
Yeah.
So
We got a couple more minutes? Or what time are we supposed to go to end at?
It's our call.
We can go for as long as we want. Do not tell.
Pastor that. Pastorally speaking.
Hey, Oasis Loves Amarillo is off to a great start. Can I steal a couple minutes for that?
Yes. Please.
We have already done 2 out of 3 of our initiatives, and we're really excited about the second one that is still ongoing, but the third one is about to ramp up. And so we want you to be a part of it, and how you can be a part of it. We have the 3 initiatives that we're doing. One, we're loving on the public health department. They are friends as well as people in our community who have done a tremendous job, and we want to support them. They work tirelessly. I think out of the last 45 days, they have had 2 days off. And so that's something that we're just coming alongside them. We brought them coffee and bagels this week, and we took them lunch this week. And so that was just one way to really reach out to them and support them. And you helped. We've had so far about $2,800 that has been donated for this campaign.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I totally didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
And so praise the Lord for that. We've had some large gifts, and we've had some, regular small gifts and medium-sized ones as well. So you can jump in on that and be a part of it. Though that expense has been covered, the second part that we're doing right now, which I think is going to be very impactful for our city, is we have their families, and there are over 1,000 families that have an individual that is quarantined here in Amarillo because of the COVID-19. And many of them are without resources to be able to get food and go to the grocery store. They don't have somebody to do that for them. They don't even have the resources to do it.
How do we find those? Or is it through the health department?
Yeah, so the public health department, they are making about 3,000 phone calls a day.
Oh, wow.
Contacting these, plus the people who have been in contact with them. So they're, the spread of just staying alert to that. And they are getting families that are needing those resources.
Okay.
And they're tapped out. The city, their budget is tapped out. And so they reached out to us, and, we've been praying, Lord, what is it that we're going to do here in this city? And so we've already, we have a team of people. Candy Luther has jumped on that and taken it and ran with it. And she has a team of people that were buying groceries, picking them up, delivering them to the families. And we've served 3 large families this weekend. And we have plenty more that are going to be coming.
I think one just went out, right? Or 2 families just...
Yeah, I think she was getting them prepped
Yeah.
and ready to go. Yeah. But our cost for that is about $55 per basic unit. Like yesterday, Saturday, we had a basic unit, plus this family needed some specialty items. And so we had a little bit more expense with that. And so you can support that as well as at the church. Oasis Loves Amarillo is the fund, and you can do that on our app. You can do that on the website. You can send it in if you want to, and we will get that done. The third one is loving on our frontline workers and nurses, and we're doing that this week as we're giving those care packages out. So it's just a awesome way to be a part of what God's doing here in Amarillo through Oasis.
Yeah, love it. I love it. Well, guys, thank you.
Thanks for letting me be a part of this today.
Yeah, this was fun. I enjoy having it.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who don't know, also we've had Pastor Bradley on our Wednesday night live youth channel. It was 3 weeks ago. And we ate some hot stuff, hot jelly beans. Still
Yes.
the worst tasting things I've ever had.
One of them was definitely the worst. And then when you decided at the very end to, like, you were bored and you had to take it to the next level, and we ate one of all of those flavors
Yeah.
at the end.
That's where the mojo happened.
Yeah, I haven't forgiven you for that yet.
As well, you shouldn't.
I am being still and knowing that God is God and praying that you bow down and worship him.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. You and Ben have been so faithful in this every Monday morning, and I know we've done tons of comments. People have loved it. People watch it live, and then they watch it, and share it.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those areas I think it's been better for us to be able to be connected with people when we can't be connected personally.
Yeah, this is fun, actually. I really enjoyed it. So, guys, we love you, and we will...
We'll talk to you and see you soon.
Yeah. Love you
God
guys.
bless.